And welcome to today's video. This is a B2 level ESL lesson, and today we're going to learn how to talk about past habits using the phrase used to. Alright, so Errol talks about his early childhood. We'll read the text and answer the questions. You can pause the video and read on your own, or you can follow along as I read. I'm only 21, but my life today is very different than it was 5 years ago. I used to avoid reading books, but now I read every day of the week. I would spend all my weekends away, camping, canoeing, and hiking, but I haven't done anything like that for more than a year. I don't even see my old friends anymore. It's been ages since I caught up with Carl, Anthony, and Joel. Most importantly, I used to be a relaxed kind of guy. These days, I'm busy and sort of stressed. So Errol talks about the past and what did Errol used to do but doesn't do now. So he said he used to avoid reading books. He used to spend his weekends away. And he used to see his old friends. And he used to be a relaxed kind of guy. So Errol talked about situations and habits that were true in the past but are not true now. So his habit in the past, I used to avoid reading books, but now I read every day of the week. Or his past situation or state, I used to be a relaxed kind of guy. In general, the habit or state existed for a long time. And these days I'm busy and sort of stressed. The habit or state does not exist now. Being relaxed doesn't exist now. So look at useful language to describe change. As a young man, Jeremy used to eat a lot of fast food. Fast food affected his health over the years, and by 25 he was very unfit. He started jogging and cooking meals at home. His new healthy lifestyle had an immediate effect. He had more energy and felt better. As a result, Jeremy is happy that he changed his lifestyle. Fast food had caused him problems that he doesn't have anymore, and his improved health led him to jog more often and for longer periods of time. Right, so listen to Leva and then answer the questions.
I used to be a very good student. I was always on time. I would pay attention in class, and I never misbehaved. I used to find studying quite easy. I would do my homework every night, and when it came to exam time, I was usually top of the class. As a result, my parents were very proud of me. Everyone expected me to follow in my father's footsteps and study law at university. Well, I took my final exams and I got the grades I needed. This led to an offer from one of the top universities in the country, and I became a law student. Once the course started, I realized I had made a mistake. This affected my motivation, and I lost interest in studying. The result was, I used to spend my time hanging out with friends. I would leave all my assignments until the last minute, and my grades were terrible. Eventually, I ended up failing an important exam, and this resulted in getting kicked out of school.
Right. So Leva said that she never misbehaved in class. As a result of her behavior at school, Leva's parents were proud of her. What affected Leva's motivation? Realizing that she had made a mistake. And as a result of Leva's poor performance at university, she was kicked out. So in the recording, Leva talks about habits in the past with used to. Leva talks about 3 other habits in the past and doesn't use used to. So listen again. And how does Leva talk about the past habit in another way?
I used to be a very good student. I was always on time. I would pay attention in class, and I never misbehaved. I used to find studying quite easy. I would do my homework every night, and when it came to exam time, I was usually top of the class. As a result, my parents were very proud of me. Everyone expected me to follow in my father's footsteps and study law at university. Well, I took my final exams and I got the grades I needed. This led to an offer from one of the top universities in the country, and I became a law student. Once the course started, I realized I had made a mistake. This affected my motivation, and I lost interest in studying. The result was, I used to spend my time hanging out with friends. I would leave all my assignments until the last minute, and my grades were terrible.
So hopefully you caught though that she said I would. She used I would pay attention in class and I never misbehaved. I would do my homework every night and I would leave all my assignments until the last minute. So would is another way to use to express used to without using that exact phrasing. So we can use would to describe habits in the past that are not true now. You can use would or used to talk about habits in the past. I would do my homework every night. I used to spend my time hanging out with friends. If you are describing a state in the past, you can use used to, but you cannot use would. I used to be a very good student, but you can't say I would be a very good student because that has a different meaning. Um, you could use that in a conditional statement. I would be a very good student if I studied more, something like that, but you can't use it to talk about a past habit. And then you can use a variety of the past simple, used to and would, when you talk about the past. All right, so now we're going to listen again and complete the text using vocabulary from the recording, and I'll just fill these in as we go along.
The effect on my parents was devastating. I was pretty upset too, but after the initial shock, I started to feel relieved. I got a job at a restaurant just to pay the bills, and while I was working there, I discovered that I had an interest in cooking. One thing led to another, and that's when I started training to become a chef. Would I change anything if I could do it all again? Well, I'm sorry that I caused my parents so much heartache. I'm not sure that they have ever really forgiven me. But am I pleased that I became a chef rather than a lawyer? You bet.
All right, so the completed new text when Leva left university. This had a devastating effect on her parents. However, Leva was said that she felt relieved. She took a job at a restaurant and discovered she had an interest in cooking. One thing led to another, and she trained to become a chef. Even though Leva caused her parents heartache, she's happy to be a chef today. All right, so now we'll meet Jonah. Jonah always wanted to write a novel. So, which is more important for a writer, imagination or determination? What is important to a good plot? What kind of character do you like in a novel? And what genre of novel do you like to read the most? And you can put these answers or your thoughts in the comments. All right, so we're going to listen to Jonah and then complete the text with would or used to, and which verb cannot be expressed here using would.
I always knew that I wanted to write a novel. From the time I learned how to write, I used to spend all my time writing stories. I would lie on my bed, let my imagination flow, and create magical stories about faraway places. At school, I used to love any classes which focused on language. I excelled at creative writing, but I would also read literature for hours.
Right. Here, so which verb cannot be excused here using would? Probably love. You can't say I would love any classes which focused on language because again that would have a different meaning. It could be used in a conditional but not in this type of context. When Jonah talks about faraway places, is he talking about real or imaginary places? Well, it sounds like imaginary places. He says, I would let my imagination flow and create magical stories about faraway places. So that suggests that they are imaginary places. What's the difference between creative writing and nonfiction writing? Nonfiction writing would be writing about things that are true. Creative writing would be writing about things that are imagined, or not necessarily true stories. And which words does Jonah use to mean as soon as? Well, from the time. So from the time I learned to write would be another way to say that would be as soon as I learned to write. So half of these sentences can be rewritten using would without changing the meaning. Which sentences cannot use would? So let's see, he would be a famous singer. I think you cannot use would with that one because again, it would change the meaning. At school, we would play rugby at lunchtime. That's okay. Once upon a time, lions used to live in parts of Europe. Lions would live in parts of Europe. Not sure on that one. We'll come back to that. I would eat a lot of vegetables. I think that one is fine. William would study every night after school. Here, I would own a vintage car. Well, would be a slightly different meaning. Olivia would go on vacation every August in Florida, and he would have a small apartment in the middle of town. Again, that one would change the meaning. Let's check the answers. So yes, this one you can't use it because it refers to a state. And yes, this one you cannot change because it refers to a state. So the two we had questions about. Right, Jonah continues talking about writing, and in which order does he mention the following?
As a result of this, I enrolled in a creative writing course after completing high school. For me, it was like a dream come true. Every day we used to attend lectures about developing a plot, or we would discuss how to make a character memorable. I loved every second of it. The result was that I passed the course with flying colors. Then reality kicked in. I had to get a job. This led to me finding a part-time job in a bookstore. I continued writing, and after 6 months, my novel was finished. I was really excited and sent a copy to various publishers. As the rejections started to pile up, it caused me to start doubting myself as a writer.
Okay, so Jonah uses an expression that means something like, I realized that life was different than I thought it was. But when he said reality started to set in. We can use no longer, any longer, and any more to show a change. No longer goes before a positive verb or after the verb be. I no longer work with John. I'm no longer working for that company. Any more and any longer come at the end of a sentence, and we use these expressions with a negative verb. I don't write anymore. They don't live there any longer. Now make complete sentences using no longer, any more, or any longer. Here are some examples. They used to eat at Giovanni's, but they no longer eat there, or they don't eat there anymore. So you can try these on your own, and then restart when you're ready to check your answers. I used to play the piano, but I don't anymore. He used to listen to dance music, but he doesn't listen to dance music anymore. There used to be a great store here, but it isn't here any longer. They used to own an apartment in Tribeca, but they don't anymore. We used to ski in the winter, but we don't ski anymore. Ellen used to perform at the theater, but she doesn't perform any longer. I used to be a school teacher, but I'm not anymore. And it used to be a popular vacation resort, but it isn't anymore. All right, we're going to listen to the last recording again, and I'll fill in the blanks as we go along. You can follow along.
It also started affecting my work at the bookstore, and the store owner asked me what was wrong. It turned out that she had a friend who was a publisher, and this resulted in an opportunity which changed my life forever. Since then, I have had 2 novels published, and I no longer work part-time at the bookstore. Would I change anything if I could do it all again? Well, perhaps I would talk to my boss earlier. But no, not really. I think that the effect of getting rejected initially made me appreciate my work even more.
Great, so compare Thomas in the past with Thomas today. And here are some examples. Thomas used to play soccer, but he doesn't play soccer now. And you can try these on your own. Put your answers in the comments. And then practice used to and would to talk about how you were when you were younger. So spend a few minutes writing down how you have changed. What habits did you have in the past that you don't have now? How have you changed as a person? Do you have the same characteristics? And what don't you do anymore? And when you're ready, you can share what you wrote down in the comments. And that brings us to the end of today's video. Please like, subscribe, share, participate in the comments, and I will see you next time. Thanks for watching. Bye.